Welcome students to this tutorial on ASK. Before we begin, let us first understand how a communication system works. The purpose of a communication system is to transmit intelligent signal from a source to a destination at some point away from the source. The system consists of three basic components: the transmitter, channel, and the receiver. The transmitter's function is to process the message signal into a form suitable for transmission over the communication channel. This is called as modulation. As for the communication channel, its function is to provide a pathway between the transmitter's output and the receiver's input. The job of the receiver is to process the received signal to recover the appropriate message signal. If the different elements do their jobs accordingly, then the output signal should be equal to the input message signal. As we have understood the working of the communication system, let us get into the topic of modulation. We can define modulation as a process by which some characteristic of a carrier is varied in accordance with the modulating wave. So, what is the need for modulation? The need for modulation comes in order to separate the signal from different transmitters. It is possible to reduce the size of the antenna. That is, for efficient transmission, the transmitting antenna should have a length at least 1/4 the wavelength of the signal to be transmitted. With modulation, it is possible to transmit information over longer distances without interference. It is also possible to reduce the bandwidth requirement. With reference to digital modulation, there are various advantages. That is, increased immunity to noise in the channel and outside interference, which are possible to prevent in the communication channel. It also offers flexible operation of the system due to technologies in digital system. Different types of message signals such as voice, video, or computer data can be implemented in the same format by the transmitter. Also, message signals can be encrypted to provide security for sensitive data. Now, if we are going to use a sinusoidal carrier for the purpose of modulation, the feature used to distinguish one signal from the other is a step change in amplitude, frequency, or phase. When the step change in amplitude occurs, it is referred to as amplitude shift gain. If the step change is in frequency, it is referred to as frequency shift gain. If the step change is in phase, it is referred to as phase shift gain. So the three digital modulation techniques are ASK, FSK, and PSK. The advantages of ASK is you have low bandwidth requirement, but the disadvantage is it is very much susceptible to interference. Whereas FSK requires a larger bandwidth, PSK is more complex but is robust against interference. Demodulation is the reverse process of modulation. Demodulation is extracting the original information bearing signal from a modulated carrier wave. If the demodulation has to be accurate, then the original signal that is sent to the modulator should be same as that obtained at the demodulator site. Before we understand how ASK functions, let us understand the working of a PNP and an NPN transistor and how these transistors are used in modulating circuits. In this slide, we have two transistors, the NPN transistor and the PNP transistor. The transistor diode model is shown in the figure below. The transistor diode model has two diodes which are connected back to back to make a PNP or an NPN BJT. This model is theoretical only. To make an NPN transistor, anodes of both the diodes are connected back to back to form a large p-type base region. To make a PNP transistor, cathodes of both diodes are connected back to back to form a large n-type base region. This model is considered theoretical only because the two back-to-back PN diodes can't function as a single BJT because the transistor's functionality requires semiconductors only base region. Once a metal is introduced in this path, which is what two back-to-back diodes represent, no BJT functionality is possible. That's the reason this model is considered as theoretical only. The BJT operating regions. BJT mainly operates in three regions: the cutoff region, saturation region and the active region. In the cutoff region, the base collector junction and the base emitter junction both are reverse biased and the transistor acts like an open switch. In the saturation region, the base collector and the base emitter junctions are forward biased and the transistor acts like a closed switch. In the active region, the base collector junction is reverse biased and base emitter junction is forward biased and the transistor acts like a linear amplifier. In the circuits that we are going to study, we will be using the transistors to work as a switch. So, how to make a transistor to work as a switch? As we have studied from the operating regions, we need to operate the transistor in the saturation region and in the cutoff region. In the saturation region, the transistor is considered to be fully on. That means the transistor will act like a short or a closed switch. In the cutoff region, the transistor is completely off and it will act like an open switch or an open circuit. But how do we configure a transistor as a switch? To configure the transistor as a switch, the emitter terminal of the transistor is grounded and the collector terminal is connected to the load that the transistor will turn on the supply voltage to the circuit. The base is connected to the device or the signal that will switch. Amplitude shift keying or on-off keying. Let us look into the generation of ASK. If you look at the circuit uses the modulating signal M of t having an amplitude of 6 volt peak to peak with a frequency of 200 Hz and a carrier signal C of t with a amplitude of 2 volt peak to peak and 20 kilohertz frequency. The type of the transistor being used is a PNP transistor and output is taken from the collector terminal of this particular PNP transistor. If you observe, the frequency of the carrier is higher than the frequency of the modulating signal. This is essentially because the high frequency analog signal is suitable for wireless transmission and is meant for the suitable size and the type of the antennas used for wireless communication. So let us analyze the working of the circuit step by step by considering as to what happens when you give a positive m of t and a negative cycle of m of t. So, in the analysis, I have m of t with an amplitude of 6 volt peak to peak, carrier of 2 volt peak to peak, and this is equivalent to plus and minus 3 volt, and this is equivalent to plus and minus 1 volt. During the positive cycle of m of t, the transistor is off because the base collector and the base emitter junctions are reverse biased. If the transistor is off, it will act like an open circuit, and since the output is measured across the collector terminal, the ASK output will be same as that of C of t. To analyze more clearly, let us apply the voltage during the positive half cycle. During the positive half cycle, m of t is having a value of plus 3 volt and C of t is having a value of plus or minus 1 volt. With the transistor diode model, the equivalent diagram of the PNP transistor is in the form shown. So, you are applying a 3 volt to the base of the transistor, whereas the collector terminal is having a voltage of plus or minus 1 volt from C of t and the emitter is grounded. So, both the diodes are basically reverse bias because the potential at the cathode is greater than that of the anode, and hence the transistor is cut off and output will be measured at the collector terminal, which is equal to C of t. Now, let us analyze as to what happens during the negative half cycle. During the negative half cycle, the transistor is in the saturation region since the base collector and the base emitter junction are forward biased. The voltage at the collector terminal is approximately 0 volt. So, all the transistor supply voltage will be pulled down to ground because the transistor is in the saturation region. Now, let us mathematically analyze this. Say m of t is applied with the voltage of minus 3 volt. With the transistor diode model, the base is given minus 3 volt, whereas the collector terminal is applied with plus or minus 1 volt and the emitter terminal is grounded. The potential at the anode terminals of the two diodes is greater when compared to the cathode. So, both the transistors are forward biased and the transistor will turn on. So, the signal C of t, which is the carrier, will be pulled to ground, and hence the ASK output is equal to 0 volt, which is shown in the graph. Once we have completed the process of modulation, we should be able to detect or obtain the original signal by performing the demodulation process. If you observe the circuit diagram for the demodulation, it consists of the envelope detector and a comparator. So, we need to analyze what is an envelope detector and a comparator individually to understand as to how the exact process occurs. Envelope detector circuit. The envelope detector circuit consists of the diode, the capacitor and the resistor which are connected in parallel combination. When you apply the input signal to the diode will pass only positive half cycles and eliminate the negative half cycles. The positive half cycles are passed since the anode potential will be greater than the cathode. Once you obtain the positive half cycles, the capacitor will charge to the peak value of the voltage obtained and the capacitor will discharge through the resistor from the peak value. For the next cycle of the positive peak, the capacitor will charge again, and once the positive peak is reached, the capacitor will try to discharge through the resistor. In this way, it is possible to obtain the envelope of a particular waveform using the combination of the diode, capacitor and a resistor. Next circuit that we had in the detection process is the comparator. The comparator can be of two types. We can have a non-inverting comparator or an inverting comparator. The non-inverting or the inverting comparator is dependent upon where the input is being applied. In the non-inverting comparator, input is being applied to the non-inverting terminal, whereas the reference voltage is obtained from the potential divider network which is applied to the inverting input terminal. In the case of an inverting comparator, the input is applied to the inverting input terminal and the reference voltage obtained from the potential divider is given to the non-inverting input terminal. Having understood the two types of comparators, that is inverting and the non-inverting comparator, let us look at the comparator output waveforms. The comparator output waveforms shown in the figure corresponds to an inverting comparator. There could be two possibilities. We can have the reference voltage to be a positive value, or we can have the reference voltage to be a negative value. The figure 1 shows the reference voltage to be a positive value and the figure 2 shows the reference voltage to be a negative value. In a comparator, the output will be a saturated value. The saturated value when we make use of an op-amp is always 1 volt less than the supply voltage. If we make use of an op-amp with a dual supply of plus or minus 15 volt, then the saturated value of the output voltage will be plus or minus 14 volts. If you see in the figure 1 where the reference voltage is positive, when the input is greater than the reference voltage, the output is negatively saturated, and when the input is less than the reference voltage, the output is positively saturated. The operation is reversed mainly because we are considering an inverting comparator in this case. The same thing applies for the figure 2. The reference voltage is negative. The input is greater than the reference voltage and the output is negatively saturated. When the input is less than the reference voltage, the output is positively saturated. From this, we can now find out what would be the case if we were to use a non-inverting comparator. If a non-inverting comparator was used, then these waveform would be in the reverse. That means if the reference voltage was positive, and input was greater than the reference, the output would have been positively saturated and negatively saturated when the reference voltage would have been greater than the input. As we have now understood the working of the comparator and the envelope detector, let us combine the two things together so that we can perform demodulation of the ASK signal. If you observe in the waveform, we have m of t having an amplitude of 6 volt peak to peak, or I can say plus or minus 3 volt, C of t carrier having an amplitude of plus or minus 1 volt or 2 volt peak to peak. So, at the output of modulation circuit, we saw that during the positive half cycle of m of t, we obtained the output C of t. So, the amplitude of the ASK output will be same as that of the carrier, that would be plus or minus 1 volt. During the negative half cycle of m of t, the output was 0. And again during the positive half cycle, the output was same as that of C of t. Now, coming to the demodulation part. In the demodulation part, as we have seen earlier, we mentioned that there is a diode and there is a filter here. So, you have, in case if you consider right now that the RNC is absent and only the output of ASK is passed through the diode, then we have only positive half cycles appearing as an output of the diode, that is considered as point A. Now, assume that you are going to connect R and C. So, when you include R and C, what happens is that the waveform that you obtain from the diode, the capacitor will now try to charge to the peak value of the output of the diode and discharge through the resistor, again charge to the peak value and discharge through the resistor, again charge and discharge. When m of t is negative, the output at point B is completely 0. Again, when you have positive half cycles as an output of the diode, the capacitor will try to charge to the peak value and then discharge, charge, discharge and then charge. So, this process continues. Kindly note that point A and point B is the same. Point A waveform is drawn by considering that R and C are absent. Now, next coming to the output of the comparator. Since we have applied the output of point B directly to the non-inverting input terminal, so this type of the comparator here is a non-inverting comparator. And the reference voltage is obtained from this potentiometer that is connected to the inverting terminal. Assuming that the value of this reference voltage is a positive value, but not greater than the output waveform obtained from point B. Since point B voltage is greater than the reference voltage, when you have a non-inverting comparator circuit with an input greater than the reference voltage, the output will be positively saturated. When the input is less than the reference, output will be negatively saturated. When again input is greater than the reference, the output will be positively saturated. So, what will be the value of this saturated output? The output of this demodulated circuit will be plus 14 volt at plus Vsat and minus 14 volt at minus Vsat if you consider a mu A 741 op amp with the dual power supply of plus or minus 15 volts. So, at the output you will obtain a peak to peak voltage of 28 volts. Kindly note, the reference voltage or obtaining the value of saturated value is all dependent upon this variable potentiometer. You have to vary the potentiometer slowly such that you obtain the saturated value close to plus or minus 28 volt. So this is the general waveform which is shown in the manual. So you have M of t, C of t, ASK modulated output and the demodulated output. So this ASK modulated output is obtained in this form because of the use of a PNP transistor. Thank you.